3 days after I gave birth, my husband drove me and our newborn daughter to his parents' house because he said a burst pipe had made our apartment unsafe. Caleb carried in Lily's diaper bag, kissed her forehead, and promised he would be back after speaking with the landlord. An hour later, his father sat across from me and said calmly, "Caleb isn't coming back for you. He only brought you here because he didn't know how to tell you himself." My name is Sienna Parker. I'm 29 years old and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I believed Grant until I noticed the crib was already assembled. The formula had been purchased weeks earlier, and nothing in that house had been prepared for me. Then I tried calling my husband. My number was blocked. But on the family tablet beside Grant's chair, every message I sent Caleb was still being delivered. Stay with me, because what I discovered before that day ended was far worse than a husband walking away. Caleb said the pipe burst while we were leaving the hospital. I was exhausted, sore, and holding a 3-day-old baby. I believed him, because I still believed my husband would never use Lily to lie to me. At Grant and Valerie's house, a crib was already assembled in the guest room. Fresh sheets, new diapers, formula on the dresser. Valerie called it being prepared. I wondered how she had prepared before Caleb called. Caleb carried in Lily's diaper bag, but nothing for me. No clothes, no medication, not even my phone charger. He kissed Lily, avoided my eyes, and said he would return after speaking with the landlord. An hour later, Grant sat across from me. "Caleb isn't coming back for you," he said. "He only brought you here because he couldn't say it himself." Valerie watched my face instead of correcting him. I called Caleb immediately. The call ended without ringing. I tried again, then sent a message. Blocked. Grant folded his newspaper and said, "He needs space. Don't make this harder for him." Valerie lifted Lily from my arms without asking. "You should sleep," she said. "I'll handle feeding." I told her Lily was not using formula. Valerie smiled and replied, "Plans change when mothers become overwhelmed." On the kitchen counter, I found a printed feeding schedule. Valerie's name appeared beside every nighttime feeding. Mine appeared only once, under supervised bonding. I stared at the page until Grant quietly removed it from my hand. The family tablet lit up beside his chair. My message to Caleb appeared on the screen, marked delivered. I looked at Grant. He said Caleb wanted no contact, but someone in that house was still reading everything I sent. I asked for the landlord's number. Grant said the building manager was handling it. Valerie told me to stop worrying. Neither of them could explain which pipe had burst, what floor was damaged, or when repairs would begin. That night, I called the apartment office myself. The manager sounded confused. "There's no plumbing emergency in your building," she said. I looked toward the guest room where Valerie was holding my baby. The entire trip had been planned. The apartment manager confirmed no repair request had been filed. When I confronted Grant, he stayed calm. "Caleb needed an excuse," he said. "You were too emotional to hear the truth directly." A man from Caleb's office arrived with a small overnight bag. Inside were 2 shirts, leggings, and toiletries. My wallet, keys, identification, laptop, and medication were missing. Grant said my belongings would come later once everyone had settled down. I asked where Caleb was. He refused to answer. Valerie only said, "You need to focus on becoming stable enough for Lily." She kept reaching for the baby whenever Lily cried. Each time, I held my daughter closer. Valerie's smile became tighter. "This is why Caleb worries," she said. "You act like accepting help is losing control." In the guest room, I checked the labels on the baby supplies. Most had been purchased months before Lily's birth. Newborn clothes, formula, bottles, and a monitor. Valerie had not prepared for an emergency. I found another feeding schedule inside the dresser. Valerie was listed as primary caregiver. Grant handled transportation and appointments. My name appeared under recovery period, with no responsibilities beyond supervised contact. They had planned Lily's life without asking me. I quietly charged my phone and searched for a way out. Grant had parked behind my car, and my keys were still at the apartment. I asked casual questions about nearby pharmacies and bus routes. He answered without realizing why. Caleb's coworker called about the delivered bag. I asked whether Caleb was at the office. There was a pause. "No," he said. "He never came in today. We thought he was still at the hospital with you." That evening, an email appeared from Caleb's old account. "Why did you block me? Dad said you wanted me gone." I read it twice. Caleb believed I had rejected him. Someone was lying to both of us. I replied with one question. "Did you plan to leave me here?" Then I deleted the sent message from the shared tablet. Before Grant could notice, another email arrived. "One night, Sienna. I only agreed to one night apart." Caleb's email continued. He said he had felt overwhelmed after the birth and asked Grant to help arrange one night apart. He admitted using the plumbing story because he was afraid to tell me the truth. He insisted he never agreed to block me, keep Lily there, or remove my access to the apartment. Grant had told him I wanted space too. Caleb believed I was the one refusing contact. I did not forgive him. A cowardly lie was still a lie. He had left me 3 days after childbirth and trusted his father to explain our marriage for him. Grant's manipulation did not erase Caleb's choice. I replied carefully. "Do not come here yet. Get your phone back. Find out what your parents told you." Then I asked where my keys and identification were. That afternoon, Valerie took me to a nearby pharmacy for medication. She insisted on waiting outside. Inside, I borrowed the store phone and called my mother. Brooke answered on the first ring. I told her only what mattered. "Bring a car seat, clothes, and my spare identification. Don't call anyone." Her voice changed immediately. "I'm leaving now." For the first time all day, I knew Lily and I had a safe exit. Back at the house, I behaved normally. I let Valerie believe I was exhausted. I asked Grant harmless questions about Caleb's childhood and pretended to accept that my marriage was over. Meanwhile, my phone stayed hidden and charging. Valerie showed me the nursery she had prepared months earlier. She mentioned friends who already knew Lily would spend most weeks here. When I asked who told them that, she smiled. Some things become obvious before mothers accept them. I found printed messages inside the nursery drawer. Valerie had told a friend that Lily would need a stable woman raising her. The dates were from before I gave birth. This was not a reaction to Caleb's fear. It was a plan waiting for an excuse. That evening, Grant caught me holding the printed messages. His calm expression disappeared. "You should not be searching through this house," he said. I looked toward the driveway, waiting for my mother's headlights. Then Grant reached for my phone. I stepped back before Grant could take my phone. "That belongs to me." He said I was unstable and needed rest. I looked him in the eye. "You blocked my number from Caleb's phone, didn't you?" Grant did not deny it. He said Caleb had become confused after their argument, so he took the phone, for everyone's protection. Then he added, "He makes bad decisions when you pressure him." He meant decisions Grant could not control. Valerie entered and saw the printed messages in my hand. Her face tightened. She said Lily needed consistency, and I had always been too independent to accept guidance. "You planned to replace me before she was born," I said. She called it preparation. I asked why my wallet, keys, and identification had been left behind. Grant answered too quickly. "You didn't need them here." That sentence stripped away the last excuse. They had not expected me to visit. They had expected me to become dependent. Grant told me Caleb would eventually thank them. He said one night apart was never enough, and that his son needed help ending a marriage he was too weak to leave. "You did not protect him," I said. "You used his fear to take control." Valerie moved toward Lily's crib. "She stays here until Caleb decides." I stepped between them. "No. Lily leaves when I leave." Valerie's voice sharpened. "She is a Parker." "So am I," I said. and I am her mother. Headlights swept across the front window. Brooke's car stopped at the curb. She stepped out carrying a car seat, a duffel bag, and the expression she wore when someone had already crossed the final line. My safe exit had arrived. Grant blocked the doorway with his body. He said nobody was taking Lily without Caleb's permission. I held up my phone. Caleb already admitted this was supposed to be one night. You changed the plan and controlled both of us. Grant stepped aside. Valerie began crying. She said Lily belonged with family and accused Brooke of stealing her granddaughter. I fastened Lily into the car seat and lifted the bag. She is leaving with her family, I said. Then I walked past them. We were pulling away when Caleb's car turned onto the street. He stopped in front of his parents' house and stared at Brooke's taillights disappearing. A minute later, my phone rang from his restored number. Sienna, he said, breathless. What did they do? I told Caleb to meet us at my mother's house. When he arrived, he looked exhausted and ashamed. He said Grant had taken his phone after Caleb questioned why one night had become permanent separation. Caleb admitted the plumbing emergency was his lie. He had wanted distance without facing me directly. I thought Dad would explain, he said. You left me 3 days after childbirth, I replied. That choice was yours. He showed me the messages Grant had sent. Grant claimed I wanted no contact and had chosen to stay with Lily at his house. Meanwhile, Valerie told Caleb I was too unstable to care for our baby alone. Caleb returned to his parents' house and confronted them. Grant called the plan necessary. Valerie insisted Lily needed a stronger maternal figure. That was when Caleb finally understood they had not protected him. They had tried to replace us. He moved into a short-term rental that week. I stayed with Brooke. Caleb asked me to come home, but I refused. A marriage does not heal because the less terrible version of the truth finally appears. We began counseling separately. Caleb had supervised visits with Lily while trust was rebuilt. He learned to feed her, settle her, and make decisions without calling Grant. For the first time, he was becoming a father instead of someone's son. Grant and Valerie were removed from every emergency contact and childcare plan. Valerie sent gifts without apologies. Grant sent messages about family loyalty. I returned every package unopened. Access to Lily would begin with accountability, not pressure. Caleb eventually gave me my keys, documents, and laptop himself. He apologized without blaming his parents. I was overwhelmed, he said. But I made cowardice your emergency. That was the first apology I believed. It was not forgiveness. Months later, Caleb asked whether there was still a chance for us. I told him trust would be measured in actions, not promises. He accepted that answer. For once, he did not ask someone else to speak for him. Grant lied when he said Caleb was never coming back. Caleb did come back. But by then, he had learned something his father never expected. Coming back and being welcomed home were not the same thing.